Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. Thank you for watching my videos. If you are new here, then I would like to introduce myself. I'm Rachel, I'm a wedding planner, and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Nice to meet you. Thank you for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be talking about wedding budgets. So if you like money, you like saving money, then this is the video you need to watch. Let's talk about money. If you have just gotten engaged, congratulations, that's amazing, well done. Not that it's a well done kind of thing, but yay! Now you're probably going to start planning your wedding, which means, and I highly suggest that you do a budget. A whole lot of my couples don't do budgets, or they say, yeah, it'll be fine. It's no. Weddings are expensive, and they're expensive for a reason. If you want to know why they're expensive, you can check out a video, which I'll put in the link cards up here. You'll find it, but it'll tell you and explain why weddings are expensive, which is also why you should have a budget, 100%. So the first thing you need to do when you're trying to make your budget is sit down with your partner and chat about how much you guys are willing to spend. Realistically, how much you want to spend, how much you can afford, what you want to spend for your wedding, all that kind of stuff. Definitely talk to your partner about it first. Then, about the same time, you can also chat to your parents. Now, not everybody's in the same boat. Not everybody has the same kind of situation and parents. Some parents do want to contribute, and that's fine. Some parents don't, and that's fine too. But you want to make sure that you have that communication with them just to see what their expectations are, so you're not blindsided by it later on down the road. They might give you like a lump sum. They might just pay for part of it. They might just pay for one thing. You know, the choices are endless. So just always having that open communication with them is always the best course of action. So once you've talked to everybody, you will have a rough idea of how much you can spend at your wedding, right? Just a rough idea. This is where phase 2 starts, which is that you need to pick your 3 priorities. What your 3 priorities are things that you want your guests to remember, things that you want you to remember, things that you want to stand out at your wedding, things that are important to you in regards to your wedding. What 3 vendors or categories or things that you really want at your wedding. Then what you're going to do with those 3 priorities is spend more on them and less on everything else. Now stick with me here. For my own wedding, I made the mistake of spending mid-range for every little category in my wedding. That was going to be the best way I spent my money. It was not. And I can definitely tell you from experience, don't do that. Instead, figure out your 3 priorities. And why that is because most of your wedding guests just don't remember everything from your wedding. So why not spend more money on the details that you want them to remember and spend less details on things that you don't want them to remember? If you really like a vendor a lot, then ask them what their price is and set aside that price in your budget for them. That way you can figure out the rest with what else you might have. Usually venues are actually in my couple's top 3 priority things, which also includes food and alcohol, because that's usually wrapped in with the venue. Some, of course, venues don't do food and alcohol, and that's its own thing, but usually they're wrapped in together. So just from a point of reference for you guys, a venue including food and alcohol will be about 50 to 40% of your budget. And that's how much you should allocate for your venue, food and alcohol. And that's just because feeding people is expensive, which means if it's like $150 per person and you have 100 guests, that's $15,000 gone. Well, not gone, but used for a good cause. But that's where most of your money actually goes to. It's actually your venue guests. So they usually take up the most amount of money in your budget. If you can figure out a rough amount of people that you want at your wedding, it's going to significantly affect your budget. So like I just said in the example before, if you have 100 people at $150, that's $15,000. If you have it like at 80, it's going to be much less. If you're going to have it 50 people, it's going to be much less. Those figures actually affect your wedding. So think about how many guests you actually want, or what's realistically to ask to come to your wedding, because that will affect whether you have a bigger budget or whether you need a bigger budget or have a small budget. So think about that. Oh, and just a hint, if you are doing a DIY wedding, because you think it might be more affordable for you, please, please, please keep in mind that you might end up having to pay for things that you didn't ordinarily think you had to pay for, say if you went for a venue food and alcohol package. Things like cutlery, plates, napkins, glassware, bins, servers, bartenders, things like that. For example, if you're just doing glassware alone, you should be estimating about 1 glass per hour per guest at your wedding. And then that's just like the fancy drinks. Then you also need water glasses. I say you could probably do 1 water glass per 2 hours per guest, because some water glasses, they get reused, whereas the special drinks don't usually get reused at all, especially if you're mixing drinks or doing like, you know, going from wine to Coke or something like that. I don't know what you want to do, but yes, glassware is a lot. And especially if you're spending like, what, $1 per glass, you can actually get anywhere to like $5 per wine glass if you're going like real fancy. That's going to cost you a lot of money. And it's not going to be worth it compared to just paying venue food and alcohol. Once you've gathered all that information, you can actually put it into like an Excel spreadsheet or something of the like that you can keep track of your budget and actually put in formulas to figure out whether you spent a lot, if you spent too much, if you're saving money, all that kind of stuff, to see how you're tracking for your wedding budget. Obviously put your 3 priorities in first, because that's where you want to spend the most money. And to get those figures, you have to talk to people you actually want at your wedding that's part of those 3 categories and ask them what their price is, and then put them into your budget. Then pretty much you work out the venue, alcohol and food, because that relates to your guest list and all that kind of stuff, and then you divvy up everything else with the remainder. That being said, it's actually really, really hard to estimate wedding budgets. And that's just because, 1, you've probably never planned a wedding before. You have no idea how much things are going to cost. And 2, you're probably asking all these wedding vendors how much they cost, and they're probably giving you 3 different answers, and you don't even know why the difference is between these 3 different answers. So you don't know what the medium is, so you don't know what to put that into your wedding budget. That's when I would actually highly suggest that you find a wedding planner that you could probably have a consultation with and just ask them how much things are going to cost so you can accurately do your budget. Because every wedding is different. Not everyone's the same. If you might want a 3-piece band or an acoustic duo. They're priced very differently. So it's really hard to actually give you an accurate recount of what your budget might look like unless you actually sit down with a wedding planner yourself and actually talk to them about what you want for your wedding and how much it might cost. Which I think is important, because your budget becomes the baseline or the foundation for your wedding, and everything should come back to it, whether you can afford it or not. Because let's be honest, you want to be able to save up for a house, for a dog, for a car, whatever it might be. You don't want to spend all your money on a wedding day. Obviously not everybody has that opportunity to be able to afford something like that, which is totally okay. And I mean, this is what these videos are for, to try and help you guys get more information, to try and understand how to actually plan your wedding. I will say that later on though, I am thinking about making a series where I say, if your budget is $20,000, this is where you can allocate all your money to. Maybe as like a rough guide. Let me know if that's something that would interest you in the comments below, so I will make it. Actually editing Rachel here for the wedding budgets video. I just wanted to mention that with your wedding budget, you also need to include things that aren't ordinarily found on wedding budgets, such as your wedding rings, your nails, teeth whitening, spa days, veils, shoes, jewelry, cufflinks, ties or bow ties, little things that actually add up in the end. They make a significant difference. So make sure you put those lines into your Excel spreadsheet and estimate those costs accordingly, because they do affect your wedding budget. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you did, let me know in the comments below. And as always, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. Click thingy majiggy. I don't even know where it is. I don't know. Click the subscribe button if you'd like more content. And yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!